What's going on, everybody? Eric Lindquist at Stokastic here on the Odd Shopper channel, coming to you with another edition of Lindy's Leans, Likes, and Locks. Hit that like button, subscribe button, notification bell goes a long way for me on this video, goes a long way for you. That way you become apprised whenever great content is going live here at our little neck of the YouTube woods. It used to be great content, and then, well, it got a little bit weird yesterday, that's for sure. Vooch, I can't do anything about the fact that he attempted one shot, that we got tons of closing line value, 17.5 to 20.5. Also can't do anything about Chris Middleton going 13.5 to 15.5 at close. And, well, he attempts 3 shots in the first half. I don't run the usage thing. It would be better to see them take a ton of shots and just shoot the ball terribly. But they're not even attempting shots here at the moment, which is just absurd and frustrating. And prime matchups, Washington, Los Angeles without LeBron. I mean, there's not a whole lot I can do about that. What you can do, though, what you can do for me is think about this from my perspective. Somebody who bets every single day and is putting a lot of hours and time into this product, and not just this product here on YouTube, but like into the ability that I like. It just frustrates me to no end that people think that they can say whatever they want to online, and then they're going to look up where I went to school at, or DM friends, or go at me on Twitter, or find my address that I grew up at. I mean, some of the creepiest stuff in the last 24 hours, and it makes me like a little bit uncomfortable. And it's very, very strange. And I was trying to joke around with some different people in the comment section yesterday. Some really creepy stuff, though, popping up. If you don't have the money to gamble, don't gamble. And if you want to fade my picks, go ahead and fade my picks. But then, for the most part, you're fading somebody who's been profitable and has 1099s, W2Gs to prove that he's been profitable for the last 7 years. And you can go ahead and do that, but for me, I am a profitable bettor, and I'm somebody who works very, very hard at giving you good information, great information. In fact, the night before every single slate, Monday through Friday, in both the NBA streets, the MLB streets, the NFL streets, all the major professional sports that I cover in and out of golf from time to time when people care about such things. But I'm telling you, very, very frustrating to see everything happen yesterday. So if you could, just keep in mind that I'm betting this stuff with you and it affects me. So, I think I do a pretty good job of letting, the water, whatever the saying is, ride off my back, or, it is what it is. But yesterday was tough. Today might be tough as well. Here, Middleton up to 6 points now in the third quarter. We need 8 of those. We need 8 of those fast. That would be great. But anywho, wanted to get that off my chest here from the get-go. I promise I'm going to fly through this. We have 12 games in the NBA streets to cover for today. All of MLB coming your way tomorrow night. I'll be recording that for Thursday. Anybody who tagged along know they made a buttload of money last year. Was unit tracking everything for the people in the premium Discord. Unit tracked everything in terms of home runs, and that's going to be a short coming out very shortly. And unit tracked the entire playoffs for everybody live in person over on X. So we'll be tweeting a bunch of that stuff. You can go follow me at Eric Lindquist. But producer Jacob, he's heard me rant enough here. He's like, hey, it's time to go. It's time to go. Yeah, cool. Glad that you feel better. Let them Google the shit out of you, idiot. No, he didn't say that. He loves me. He loves me not. He loves me. He didn't love the Celtics the other night. Producer Jacob, hi. Let's get to the picks. Game number 1, the Cleveland Cavaliers taking on the Charlotte Hornets. One guy, Max Strus, projected to be coming back here tonight. That one's a little bit nifty. They need shooting. They need other guys. They need Donovan Mitchell, who's not due back for another week or so. But you should know by now, perfectly efficient number here over at 207, mainly because not a ton of injury information waiting in the wings. And that's when you really see these books. Hey, you want to have a 3K, 5K limit here over at certain books? Shout out Circa, though. They never really limit any sharp action anyway. So regardless, we love them. Definitely, personally love them. They do great work. But Cleveland, minus 10.5 here. I'm going to call it a lean here for the time being, but do not bet it. It's about as efficient of a spot as possible. I'm sure any book would let you put as much money on either of those as you possibly wanted to because, well, it just screams efficiency. So we're going to stay away. Maybe something unexpected. We've had a ton of unexpected injury news pop up from time to time over the course of the last 2 days, but this one feels pretty soft. The Golden State Warriors on a back-to-back taking on Orlando here. One major note, well, it's not a major note in terms of like what I'm projecting because it's going to be one or the other, I would assume, but Gary Harris and Caleb Houston are both questionable. Caleb Houston started when Gary Harris was out. Now, Gary Harris, if he plays basketball here, I assume goes back into the starting lineup, and Caleb Houston goes to like 4 minutes a game. But if they're both out, I do think this is an opportunity for Anthony Black to get back into this rotation, at least for a day, maybe just one day, but it is what it is. Something that I was trying to project out the minutes for. You have 240 minutes in the course of a regulation basketball game. There's only so many of those that you can spread out. You're not going to give 48 minutes to the 5 starters until playoff time. So you're looking at diluting those through the bench. And yeah, wanted to at least say that it was weird to look at Anthony Black's name again and be like, oh, I have to actually do something with this. As for Golden State, I guarantee you we're going to have to do something with them because so many veterans, whether it's Draymond Green, Klay Thompson, Steph Curry, so many veterans that will be on this back-to-back. They got everybody else healthy. Chris Paul obviously didn't even bring up his name. He definitely will be more than likely questionable unless he plays like 20, 22 minutes against Miami. Not sure how it all breaks out here against Orlando, but it's a spot where they're pretty sizable dogs, and I think that that's the main reason. I will say Orlando money line, I put this as a lean purely as like a parlay piece for the parlay people because you're going to see something rest here. I think that's already baked into the number pretty efficiently, but as it stands right now, I'm not going to be touching anything unless props show up earlier than expected. All right. I get it. Go ahead. If you want to run it back in a polite way and like a, I hate you, idiot, you dumb, not in like the creepy way that I've experienced in the last 24 hours, 48 hours. But anyway, we got Brooklyn minus 2.5 ticking on Washington. What I'm saying is that I get it. It's frustrating when you watch your guys that you bet on. And again, we have a lot of unders over on Odd Shopper for a reason because I think people are always a little bit more bullish than they should be on thinking player projection or player performance is going to be hitting some of these overs or, you know, the public likes to bet overs. All of these things are inherently true to a certain extent. Now, for me, I'm looking for getting my money down in any way that I possibly can where I feel like I have expected value, positive EV. That is kind of the name of the game. Felt like I had it with Vooch at 17.5. He closes at 20.5 for the points prop. Today, Chris Middleton, 13.5, closes at 15.5. I think we're going to run into the same thing here, even though Washington is adding Deni Avdija and Kyle Kuzma back into the mix. Now, Deni Avdija ends up sitting out of the middle of nowhere. That injury news popped up like that. Jordan Poole ends up running into foul trouble, is what it is. But Jordan Poole, somebody who hadn't been in the starting rotation for a while, they bring him back because, well, they're paying him a god load of money to play basketball. You might as well utilize him there. Defensive special. Couldn't even say that with a straight face. Anyway, Jordan Poole out there, he's going to chuck whenever he gets an opportunity. Nearly a 26% usage under all circumstances this season. And even getting Kyle Kuzma back here, I feel pretty bullish about him against Brooklyn. First off, 226.5 total. Pretty interesting. Second off, who else is going to be playing guard out there? No Tyus Jones. Bilal Coulibaly out for the season. You've got Landry Shamet out. I mean, it is bleak. And Johnny Davis is surely not worked out. They really don't want to be playing him. Tristan Vukovic was somebody that ended up inserted into the rotation last time out. Probably a couple of minutes scattered his direction. But friends, 30-plus minutes here. Competitive spot. Washington doesn't always run into those. I know that they played themselves into one last time out, but nearly a 26% usage with 32 minutes is kind of a baseline for me for Jordan Poole. Has him going way over 15.5 points. I've got him closer to 20, 19.8 to be exact. And friends, that means he's your lock of the day. I know it's a third straight points prop. I don't feel good about it in terms of like, just feels like thematically things happen in threes. And this is the third of a trilogy. And how many third trilogies have been good since the Return of the King? I'll answer. John Wick 3 was pretty good. That's the first one off the top of my head. I think that's it. Not great, Bob, but this one's going to hit, so there you go. This one will hit too, friends. OS Premium Tools, Discord Insider Access. Sign up for that down below. MLB starts. MLB starts officially on Thursday, and I can't wait. If you were along for the ride over the MLB streets, where we were unit tracking everything for the people, when I had the home run props up, when I was firing everything in the playoffs, and we were smashing together, friends, well, we're going to run it right back right from the get-go here. The model's all dusted off, ready, spiffy, ready to rock. Learned about a lot of people where they played baseball over the course of the last week and a half, 2 weeks, because this year I didn't get over to spring training. I'm going to be in Arizona this weekend, which is, again, ironic that I didn't get to spring training this year. But is what it is, friends. All of this can be yours for $14.95 weekly. The OS Premium Tools, the Positive EV tools, Fantasy Optimizer, everything you know and love, over from a tool perspective at OS, combined with our Discord, myself, Isaiah Suarez, Nathan, you got Ben Raza, everybody you know and love on the Odd Shopper channel. One easy to find place in that Discord, giving you our bets day in, day out. Oh, and you've used promo code Lindy, Lindy, 20% off. Check that out. All in one package, all together, birds of a feather now, or whatever the saying is. On we go with the picks. I'm going to make up a little bit of time here as we talk Portland and Atlanta. And I do have a play from this one, but it's just 12 games. And I know that you guys you got things to do. We got places to go here. So I'm going to try to speed it up a tiny bit. Looking at the pace metrics here for this, I'm a little surprised to see a 214.5 total. Are you? I surely am. First off, Portland, they just got done playing Chicago. Chicago, the third slowest team in the entire NBA behind the Knicks, behind the Heat. Yes, they play very slow. And Delano Banton, shout out him for going completely berserk. But DeAndre Ayton coming in, I know it might hurt in terms of like pure pace, but he's such an efficient shooter at this point. High true shooting, been playing really good basketball over the last month and a half. If they get him back, I thought he was going to play last time out, but if they get him back, I think that actually bodes well for this total going up against Clint Capella, Onyeka Okongwu, and company here on the Atlanta side of things. Now, Atlanta, 30-point come from behind win. Massive piece in DeJounte Murray that is questionable. Almost made this a lean like, but here's the thing, is I think that DeJounte Murray is a little bit baked in here, and I think as such, 214.5 is undershooting this one when I've got it closer to 217.5, 218. So over 214.5, regardless of that news, is something I'm interested in. Sure, all of the guards out there, all of the main starting guards for the Portland side of things, but Scoot Henderson, Chris Murray, Ryan Rupert, Toumani Camara, and hopefully Ayton. I think the pace is going to be all right with Walker and Banton off the bench to make this one a go. My second favorite prop on the board, not where I was expecting it to come from, but Clippers taking on the 76ers. 76ers, they got walloped against Sacramento. The Clippers, they got walloped against Indy. Pretty interesting little two teams trying to make it back into, well, they're both, I mean, they're going to be fine, but like Philly isn't going to be fine without Embiid and the Clippers. They just got Russell Westbrook back. We'll see if they can kind of get their threading, their bench units and everything working, because they're a perfectly healthy basketball team, very similar to Golden State, where out of the middle of nowhere, they went from banged up all the time or pieces missing here or there. There's not a single guy that they are missing here in this spot. So I wanted to give that a shout out, but I do think Paul Reed has to start playing more. He does. I mean, this was one guy that we thought was going to be a fantasy stud, like an absolute stud over on the Stochastic YouTube channel once you had Joel Embiid out. Hasn't worked out that way. In fact, it's worked out completely horrifically. And they've had Mo Bamba inserted into the starting unit, but has not been closing basketball games. And that's the thing here. 5.5 point total. They got ran out of the gym against Sacramento. They got ran out of the gym in a couple of these spots here of late, but I think this bodes well for Paul Reed to get those 24, 25, maybe even 26-ish minutes in this spot against a Clippers team that brings Zubats and Daniel Tice here on the floor for nearly the 48 minutes allotment. They rarely go small, although Russell Westbrook does give them the opportunity to start playing around with some of those small ball lineups that they've closed with against really big times at time. I shout this out because they did that against Minnesota, and it caught me a little bit off guard, considering you had Towns, Gobert there. Okay, I'm a Minnesota fan, so I watch those games all the time. But I digress, friends. Paul Reed is at 17.5 PRA, and I think that is way too low here at minus 105 over on DK. So, friends, over 17.5, pretty straightforward here. We continue on. Tom Thibodeau has no regard for humanity here as they take on Toronto, 12.5 point favorites. They are heading north of the border. Let's start on the Toronto side of things before we jump over to the Knicks side, because the Knicks side is insane what we're seeing. Absolutely insane. But Javon Freeman Liberty Bibberty ends up getting the start last time out. I got to think that that's what they're going to be doing going forward. Bruce Brown seems like he's on bubble wrap, bringing him off the bench. Such an interesting piece. I thought he would fit on a lot of playoff contenders. It's always so weird to see him there. Because good two-way player, not a high usage dude, can be effective by filling a box score up and doing all the intangible things. Do you need that on a just pathetic Toronto team that is 23-49 at the moment? Not great. But I want to jump over to the Knicks side of things here, because Alec Burks questionable doesn't really matter to me, although he is in for 16 minutes on my sheet. I gotta say, Miles McBride and Josh Hart, my God, are they playing infinity minutes every single night. I've got him in for 44 minutes apiece here. And again, I don't know how I can go about projecting people for 47, 48 minutes a night, but I mean, we're getting close to that for those two here specifically. And Toronto has no signs of them not going to this main lineup. I mean, shit, they had the Denver matchup where it was Aaron Gordon, Nikola Jokic, and they still started Miles McBride. So this guy is locked into like every minute he can possibly handle, because with no OG Anunoby there for the 2 games, I think we just see him, Tibbs, just run these dudes out there with no regard for humanity. That's kind of why I said that. As such, I don't really care, though, because these numbers have really caught up quickly. We're talking 13.5 rebounds for Josh Hart, and then 10.5 rebounds for Isaiah Hartenstein, who his minutes have been all over the place. One of the better defensive centers in basketball, pretty high in my model overall, but I do think that these minutes are going to be topped out around 26, 28 for him, because Precious Achiuwa, Bojan Bogdanovic, guys that they do like to get intertwined with the minutes here. And there's no true big coming off the bench here that's going to be playing the 5. They've had the guy from Toronto playing the backup center minutes, but Kelly Olynyk is not exactly like some massive 5 that you have to be all that concerned about. They could go to some small ball Precious Achiuwa pretty easily here and just split it 24-24, and it wouldn't completely shock me. So I'm thinking about shorting both these rebounds. Obviously, Josh Hart at 13.5 is hilarious. He's one of the better rebounding guards, but it has more to do with the fact he's playing 44 minutes a night. Anyway, 13.5 rebounds. I'm not going to bet it yet here. Isaiah Hartenstein under 10.5. I want to see if the public pushes this up, because we've seen people push these Knicks lines up a little bit to places where it's just like, I can't possibly project it any higher, and there's only a left tail from foul trouble, injury, things of that nature. So I'm going to wait on this one. Track the odds over on OddsShopper if you're following along. Indy taking on Chicago. Don't have a ton from this one other than shout out Pascal Siakam. He's a real one. Had some pickup cards for the people. 21.5 points, 22.5 points. Goes surging over it against the Clippers, against the Lakers. Just back-to-back complete smash fest from Pascal Siakam, who's really starting to take over this offense. But you know what happens? Is that now numbers catch up. Because this is a Bulls team that does not play quick. 96.8 possessions per 48 minutes. 3rd slowest team in the NBA. And now we're going up a point from where we were just at to try to catch up for it. Feels like a spot we could take an under, doesn't it? I'm going to call it a lean, but mainly a lean because I don't necessarily want to double dip. I'm kind of torn between Pascal Siakam under. I'll see if the public wants to push that up to 23.5. That would be incredible. Then I'll definitely take it no matter what. But taking a Pascal Siakam under and the Chicago Bulls, maybe single game parlay piece here for the people, but Chicago +3 is pretty fascinating to me. There's some threes that exist out in the land. Go snag them. Go find them. I think they're pretty decent. Got Kobe White starting again here. Alex Caruso ended up out of the starting rotation there. They ended up going with Ayo Dosunmu. Kind of a weird game script. I don't even want to talk about the Washington game anymore, but want to at least say that this is an interesting spot here to potentially buy low on Chicago and sell on Pascal Siakam, as he has been playing awesome, but now the numbers have caught up. LOL. Next. Detroit taking on Minnesota under 213.5. I will say, just for the people who are like, oh, you didn't give us any analysis. I have no idea about LeBron James playing. I have no idea who plays on a back-to-back from that side. And Memphis always has a million guys on the injury report. It's impossible for me to give you anything from it. So there you go. Glad we covered it. Let's talk this one. Detroit 17.5 point freaking dogs going up against Minnesota. How about them apples? Now, Cade Cunningham is questionable, and Anthony Edwards is questionable, but I fully expect him to play. It's a finger, and he plays through everything. Rudy Gobert, questionable as well here. Never, ever really know what's going on with him, although, now that he's playing again with the Q tag, I think we just see him continue to play with the Q tag. Not completely sold on it, but again, it's 17.5. 17.5. I don't really see a whole hell of a lot that I want to mine out with that. The under 213.5 is the one thing that was projecting out decently for me here, but again, this is just a spot where Cade Cunningham, I would want him to be out. Also want Ant to be out, and I just don't think that's going to happen. Pretty efficient game. Don't think we're getting props anytime soon, so that's a bummer. Not a bummer is Bet365, friends. Bet365 available in 10 states right now. Colorado, Indiana, Iowa, New Jersey, Virginia, Arizona, Kentucky, Louisiana, and the newest, North Carolina. Come on and raise up, friends. Take your shirt off or don't, twist it around your head, spin it like a helicopter, and get yourself $150 in bonus bets at the link below. Bet 5, get $150 in bonus bets. If you're 21 and over, 18 and over in Kentucky, if you have a gambling problem, please call or text 1-800-GAMBLER. Back to the picks we go. Oh boy, did I step on the gas and go real fast. Houston plus 6.5 taking on Oklahoma City here, and I do think, even with Oklahoma City here, Oklahoma City on the back-to-back, might be looking at attacking some numbers here. I think we are going to get some Jabari Smith double-double plus money. I think that's going to be what happens here. Now, Jock Landale's played really, really well in backup duty. Maybe he cuts into Jabari Smith minutes. But really what I think happens is Dylan Brooks is kind of the guy that could get pushed a little bit to the side. I think Jabari Smith and Jock Landale are going to start playing more and more next to each other. Now, Reggie Bullock, you got Jeff Green coming off the bench. Jayshawn Tate is out there and playing teens minutes. There are opportunities for other guys to kind of slip in, and then it becomes Landale, and Jabari Smith could be looking at the outside, looking in or whatever. But Oklahoma City, I bring this up all the time. Oklahoma City is one of the worst rebounding basketball teams in the entire NBA. I know it seems just so weird to say because they are a very, very good actual real-life basketball team, but they're the third worst offensive rebounding team in the entire NBA. They're the third worst at getting people off of offensive rebounds in the entire NBA. So it kind of goes both ways where I think you definitely want to be utilizing some double-double numbers here early if he's under projected. So Jabari Smith is the main guy to be paying attention to, but I want to let you know I'm interested in everything with these numbers drop. Again, has to be a lean because we don't have the number yet, but I'm assuming plus money with this one. It's going to be dicey because 9.5, 10.5, no true 5. Obviously, Şengün out for the year. We'll see, but I'm very interested in rebounding props on the Houston side. I'm interested in this one, and this is an actual like. San Antonio taking on Utah. We've seen it a couple times of late now. Victor Wembanyama questionable. Keldon Johnson questionable now joining him. I know Devin Vassell. Shout out the Spurs for doing the Lord's work. That under looking outrageously good. Outrageously good. Under 48.5 wins for the Phoenix Suns. We'll get to them up here next. We'll get to them next year, last game of the night. But Phoenix, that under 48.5, we jammed it in the premium Discord. Brought it up here as a lock on this program. That was the second half of the season, like after the All-Star break. How I found that, I don't know. I got a little bit bored over the course of this. I had to fire something during the NBA All-Star break is what it was. And I didn't delve into too much hockey. First year that I haven't taken up hockey during the All-Star break, period, in like many, many years. But in this spot, I don't see how you don't lay the two immediately, considering Victor Wembanyama. Do I think he plays? I'd probably lean ever so slightly towards him being in. And even still, I have this at 3.5 with him in. So I don't quite understand why this is the number we're getting. Victor Wembanyama, one of the most impactful players in the NBA already, based on efficiency and definitely based on defense. So don't see how we're getting this. So you know what? Screw it. Let's just take the money line here for you. Minus 130. Straightforward. Easy. A lot of people always complain, oh, why'd you lay the 2? You could do either here. I could have just put it either or. But Utah money line. Let's go with that, producer Jacob. Good stuff. He's perfect. He's perfect. Last game of the night. Let's go. We reached the 12th game of the night. Hit the like button, subscribe button, notification bell if you're still with me. I got something for you here, though. Phoenix plus 6.5 taking on Denver. We've seen some nice plus money here on Mr. Nikola Jokic. And even if you get Jamal Murray back here, even if Jamal Murray comes back and joins the fray, I don't see how I want to go crazy projecting him for over 30 minutes here. They want to be cautious with his minutes, Aaron Gordon's minutes, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope's minutes, and then Nikola Jokic. He can just do so much so quickly. 32 minutes of him is enough for me to be looking in the triple-double market at some of these nice plus money spots that we've been getting for him of late. So lots of ways that I think this ends up being favorable against a Phoenix team that Bradley Beal and Yusuf Nurkic are both questionable. If this ends up being Drew Eubanks, best of luck to you. Godspeed, man. I know Bull used to be with Denver. I'm sure. I mean, Jokic is just going to tool him on defense if that ends up being a thing. Oh, my God. Oh, yeah. We're definitely looking at Nikola Jokic to triple-double. Anything better than plus 150 is getting auto-bet like you would not believe here. I won't even wait for the Nurkic news. Don't care. I know him and Nurk have a history. It was the whole Denver thing. It is what it is. Good times, friends. I'm calling it a lean like. Again, normally don't like things unless there are numbers attached to it already. I gave you the prospective number, and I'm letting you know that I am interested. Good times, good talk. Let's get out of here. And that does it for another edition of Lindy's Leans, Likes, and Locks. Head to that comment section below. Be polite, be respectful, but also I'll give you a yo mama joke from time to time. That's always fun, friends. But otherwise, let's keep it a little bit normal. Let's be normal people in the world. I also don't like deleting comments. I'm not going to do that. I'm just not. So go ahead. Say what you want to say. What did Middleton finish at? I have to look it up here live. Please. Please. One time. Can I use my one time at the end of a program that nobody's actually watching? That'd be really... It kind of be the waste of a one time. Competitive. 94-82. Middleton's at 9 points. 9. We need 5. We need 5 very badly. Anywho, I'm going to go sweat that, friends. Producer Jacob, thank you so much. Until next time, friends, I'm Eric Lindquist. Best of luck in the NBA streets on Wednesday. MLB coming to you for Thursday.